What's up, guys? Welcome to, what is this? What installment is this? 12th?
13th.
13th installment of the Fly Shop Lunch Break. We will be tying some flies today, specifically tailing redfish flies. So a couple different patterns with some very similar materials, a couple differences, but let's talk shop, or let's talk a few things to start. So this is the second lunch break of the new year. This is how you know that you're a dad, by the way, when you get a notification on your watch for a coupon from Chuck E. Cheese. So that just popped through. But some exciting things happening at the shop. So I got the shipping notification yesterday. Our custom fly line with Rio that we have been telling you guys about shipped yesterday. So the Tailwater taper fly line will be coming. We will be showing it to you. It has some cool custom packaging, has a cool custom line ID, and I think it's going to be a really awesome line for really anywhere that is the inshore saltwater stuff, whether it's a redfish, bonefish, snook, small tarpon line, that sort of thing. So that'll be available in 6 through 9 weight, and when that gets here, it'll be on the lookout. It'll be on social media, on the site, all that stuff, and we will be doing a YouTube review on that. There is a new one-piece rod that will be coming in February from a company that's never done a one-piece rod before, so I can't say what it is, but that will be coming. And what else do I have? We have some other really cool stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about, though. So it's going to be really hard for the next few months to not talk about it. But we have some really cool stuff that's in the works, that's coming up, that we are collaborating on, and think that you guys are going to really enjoy that. But today we're tying flies, and this is one of the two patterns that we are going to be tying today. And so this is a really simple tailing redfish fly, and it's weighted a little bit differently. So I know you can't see the weight, but it is weighted in there, and I have it weighted for a specific purpose that we will be talking about. So this is I don't have a name for this thing yet, but this one I put a little orange and blue tip on it, kind of to look like a blue crab. But it's wintertime, and wintertime means clean water, shorter grass, and fish that are pushing extremely shallow. So we're going to be tying this fly first, and then we will be tying this fly second, which is very similar, but just a little bit of a different material. So basically for the same purpose, but wanted to give you a couple options. So this fly is very similar, weighted the same way, and this fly is a version of the slicked back Willie, which is also on our YouTube channel, but in a wintertime color. So obviously you can see both of these are very light, very natural, very unassuming, but these flies are going to be really good for redfish that are tailing, redfish that are over the sand, and I think a fly that's going to be definite box filler in a lot of different colors. So you can make it in that blue crab, you can make it in olive, you can make this in black and purple, you make it in chartreuse, you can do whatever, you can weight it differently. But without further ado, we're going to get to tying. And if you have any questions or anything during, please put them in the chat and we will let you know. But hook I'm tying on today is a size 4 B10S stinger hook. So that's a size 4 B10S. Yes, I think this hook is fine for saltwater. I think that it is a really nice saltwater hook. Let me get the vise centered really quick. So the thread I'm using 140 denier instead of 210. I think 210 builds up a little bit too fast on flies this size, so that's why I'm using the 140. But I'm just gonna give myself a thread base, and then get into the weighting of the fly. So right now is a really good time to be tying flies because the weather has been crazy here in Florida, but we had winds yesterday and tornadoes and all that fun stuff. There was a tornado by my house. Never seen anything like this before. They have like metal light poles in the middle of the road, like in the grass median, and there was 2 of them that were lit laying on the ground because they were metal and they were literally folded in half, like they were bent at the ground level. So which was kind of crazy. So this is, let me see if I can't grab the packaging of it. Yep, here it is. So what I'm going to weight this with is actually a tungsten scud weight or shrimp body is what it is. And this is more of a freshwater type thing, but I really like this for patterns that are more for tailing fish in the grass that I want weighted still. I'm a big proponent of throwing as heavy of a fly as you can get away with, but this tungsten scud / shrimp body is, you tie it in on a different part of the hook, and what that does is it really helps it to fall extremely neutral. So this scud body, if you can see, kind of has a it's kind of hard to show, but it has a slight curve to it. This is like the shape of it, okay? And it has a little bit of a groove, and you set that on top of the hook, and then you wrap that in, and it basically goes right around the bend of the hook. So it has a few different like ribs in it, and it's a really good spot for your thread, because I'm not using this as like so you can see it at all. I'm literally only using this for its weight purpose, and this tying it in back here really helps this to fall flat and help it to fall neutral. So the fly is going to fall like this way instead of with the hook, like with the eye down, because of where this is. So still going to turn the hook point over, still going to do what you need it to do, but it's going to help it to fall extremely neutral, as well as when you strip it, it's going to keep it from just, jigging. I really want these flies to like just slide more than I want them to, jig up and down. So that's going to get tied in. Then what I like to do is I like to take some super glue, brush on is what I prefer, and just give it a few hits around it. Again, that's going to help keep it in place, but it's also going to keep the next material on it. And the next material is going to be the body. So I'm not tying in eyes on this, so I don't have to leave a ton of room at the front, but I do want to leave some because I do have a material that I will be tying in towards the eye of the hook. And this material now that I'm going to be tying in for the body is Hairline Ice Dub Chenille in tan. Okay, and I like to strip a little bit of it off just to give some bare rope, and then I'm going to tie that rope in. So now what I'm going to do is, I don't have the arm on my vise, but that's fine. So I'm just going to wrap.
It's a bobbin cradle.
Yeah, bobbin cradle, whatever it is, the arm. I'm just going to wrap this around the hook, around that scud weight, and then back down. And so if you've watched that slick back Willie video or whatever, I do this, but I tie it in with bead chain eyes. So this can be used with any sort of weight, but I really like this scud weight. I think it helps it to fall really neutral, as well as kind of slide along the bottom instead of do it. So the first one that I'm going to be tying is the one. So basically, these two flies that I'm going to be tying, that first step right there is the exact same. Okay, tying in the scud weight, tying in the ice dub chenille, and wrapping it back over. And you can see it kind of just looks like a little puff ball right now. But what that's going to do is it's going to give just a little bit of flash underneath. Okay, it's going to help this fly to land softer, just because this is what's hitting the water instead of bare hook that just has thread wrapped around it. And now I'm going to, tie in my head material, and those are going to be tied in on the underside of the hook. So the first one I'll do is the one that's a little bit messier, and that's the one that has the craft fur. So this is Hairline Extra Select Craft Fur. This is the sand color. So again, all these will be linked in the description, but the sand color craft fur. You can do it with tan. You could do this with brown. You can mix colors and use like the tan ice dub chenille and then put olive. You could get crazy if you're in dirtier water, and you can tie this fly in black and purple. This is a really awesome quick tie that is going to be great. And so I'm going to cut off some of the sand craft fur from my craft fur hide and just gather it in my fingers. I'm going to take my EP, except I just dropped it. Why would I drop something? It literally went like way underneath, of course. Oh. All right. Greatest tool for fly tying ever, EP finger brush. Okay. And I'm just going to brush out the under fur of that. You can see how much I got. So, you can save that if you want, if you make your own brushes or dubbing or whatever else, but it's really, you don't want to tie all that in just because it's going to add a bunch of bulk. So I'm just going to even out the fibers, and I kind of want it to reach back about twice the hook length. So I'm going to kind of just measure out with my fingers, cut it flush. I don't like to cut it out. I don't like to tie it in then cut off the ends. So pull it back, tie in those ends right there. Wrap those down. Clean the head up a little bit. And there's your little slider. All right. So something that you could do now, though, it's an optional step, but I'm going to do it. So say that you could just put on a weed guard, finish the fly, be done with it at this moment. And that's what I did on this one. Okay. On this one, that's literally all that. That's all that it is. It's just the chenille with the craft fur, and then I colored it with a Sharpie. Like that's what I did. But on this one, I'm going to do a little bit different. So maybe it's super skinny. Maybe the fish are super spooky, and you need something that's going to land even softer than this and sink even slower. So what I just grabbed is some bleached elk. Okay. This is elk hair. Traditionally, it would be used for some trout stuff, but it acts very similar to deer hair because it's hollow. So I'm going to cut off not a very aggressive clump of that, but just a little clump. And the reason I like the elk for this is it's just a little bit softer maybe than like deer body hair or deer belly hair. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure that so it's literally just touching the hook point, and I'm going to tie this in. I'm not going to let it spin though. I'm going to keep it on top of the hook, and I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to wrap in front. And this is going to do a couple things. One, this is going to kind of act like a weed guard for me. Just a couple half hitches underneath there so I can trim this. But it's going to act like a weed guard for me, but it's also going to keep this fly landing extremely soft, but it's going to give it just a little bit more body to push water. And you can see how that's tied in on the hook now. So it's literally all on the underside of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this, and I'm going to trim this pretty short. But just kind of, you can always take more off, remember, so don't get crazy to begin with. But I want this to have a pretty slim profile. So I'm going to take all of those butt ends and I'm going to snip those off. Almost kind of making like a slider head, if you will. So all right, now I'm going to take off some of these ends too. So I don't want that much. I like the I like the body of it to push water, but so it has that deer hair head on it. And so what that's going to do is that's going to allow this fly to land extremely, extremely soft. But it still has a little bit of a larger profile. It's going to push water. Still extremely easy to cast though, and it's going to be great. So the deer hair, the elk hair. So you could use deer hair. I like the look and color of that elk hair. So so that is that finished fly. So again, I'm going to tie it again. You can do it without the deer hair, but you can. Kevin said, been to the Dallas shop several times and just wanted to say you guys and gals are extremely kind and willing to help in any way. Hope you'll have a blessed 24. Kevin, I appreciate that very much. I will say I've heard wonderful things about the people at Tailwaters in Dallas, and that their shop is awesome. We actually looked at their shop and pictures of it quite a bit for decor purposes, as like inspiration for our new store. But we are not affiliated with them, actually. We opened around the same time. We opened in 2016. I'm not extremely sure, but I think that we both came up with our names completely organically and separate from each other. But I've heard that they are awesome there, and if that is if that is a shop that's local to you in Dallas, then you know, hey, if you can't be close to us, then I've heard that they're a pretty good one to be near. So, but I'm sure they are great. But we are not actually affiliated, Kevin. So funny to say that they are Tailwaters Fly Fishing Company, and we are Tailwater singular outfitters. So both, I think, for the same purpose, call ourselves Tailwater, and it is not because of trout fishing. It is because of the tailing redfish that are famous in both of our areas. And so, but yeah, no, I've heard nothing but good things about those folks over at Tailwaters, and you know, really hope to at some point stop in there myself. So, but if you're ever in our area, Kevin, then please stop in and see us. But yeah, we are not affiliated with them. So, but that's okay. All right, let's tie it again without the deer hair. So I tied that one. I like it. I'll probably throw it. I'll probably use it, but you know, not my favorite. But that's how we finished right there. Is that. So let me switch to it, and I'll show it up close to the camera. So again, super sparse, super tiny, super awesome tailing redfish fly, and would probably work in Dallas, and not in Dallas. Well, it wouldn't work in. It might work in Dallas on a bass, but probably work in Texas on redfish. So I'm gonna tie this. I'm gonna tie another one of these, and I'm gonna do it without the elk hair. And again, Adam's going to link everything in the description down below. So, but scud eyes. The other thing you could do, by the way, if you don't have these scud weights or this like these scud shrimp weights, you could wrap lead wire around the hook. The reason I just don't really like doing that is because I like to keep the weight on top of the hook here, like on the top side. So, but you could wrap lead wire around it. You could put a tungsten bead back here, but these scud weights are just so easy to work with that you know, I think that getting these as an option is really nice. The reason I kind of got this idea too is because Dave, who works here, who you guys have seen on the channel and the live stream, Dave uses scud weights for his game changers, so that his game changers fall extremely neutral and not, you know, head down or tail down. So I don't have the patience to trim a game changer, so I've never tied a game changer, but maybe I should add that to my repertoire. I don't know, but again, super glue on the scud weight. Now my tan ice dub chenille. So I'm tying these for myself for whenever I actually can get out to fish again. So this isn't just a throw it together and sell some materials. Like, these are the flies that we actually I actually use around here. So, but and also Brandon and I are getting ready. Brandon and I are fish a red fly, local redfish tournament here every year, and that is towards the end of this month. So, getting ready for that. So he and I are gonna try and get out and maybe pre-fish a day next week, I guess. Pre-fishing is just what you call a day of fishing that you use a tournament as your excuse for needing to have a day of practice. So that's pre-fishing. Cut that too flush, but that's okay. Wrap back up on it a little bit. Again, guys, your flies don't have to be the prettiest things in the world, okay? So I know that mine are not, and that's okay. So these are to go in my box. These aren't to impress anybody. These are to catch fish with. As long as the fish thinks that it is something that they might want to eat, well, then I guess that's all that really matters, right? So again, I'm going to cut a clump of craft fur off here. I left myself a little bit more space here this time than I did the last time, just because I didn't love how the craft fur tied in on the first one. So again, I'm going to take my EP finger brush. I'm going to brush out that under fur and get this measured up. I'm not doing the elk hair on this one, so I'm doing a little bit, not as sparse of a clump of craft fur. So if I can catch it, hold on, I'm going to retrim it. Kind of like to trim it at an angle too. I don't know if you can really see, but it just kind of helps with how it ties in and not leaving such a huge stupid. I remember my first fly. All right, there we go. Grabbed it. Some of it came out, but that's okay. Grabbed it and I can clean it up now. So that was awful how that one went. But the next material, if you despise craft fur, or if your wife despises craft fur because you never can actually get it all cleaned up, the next fly is going to be a little bit simpler even than this, and I don't really know how much more simple you can get than this. So. What you can do is you could take a lighter and you could, get those little fibers out, or you can just try and wrap back on top of them. But let me reset. These little B10S's are small.
No questions yet.
We did, and then it got deleted.
That's weird.
Marco says it's fire. Thank you, Marco. Not as fire as Marco's flies. Marco in the comments. Marco with Mac flies.
Buy his flies, he has baby.
Buy his flies. They're better than mine. And
feed his baby.
Yeah, they help feed his baby. So, right, Marco? So Marco, Mac flies. Marco, can you? We have Marco's flies here at the shop, but Marco also ties. So Marco wants to link his website, and so tie my boy Blue beard. There, cool. Yeah, I know. I need to. So those are like more than two materials, Marco. So heard. They are cool. Marco's pattern. My boy Blue. It's a strong arm slider. I have tied those on here before, Marco. So my rendition of it, my dollar store version of it, is what I like to refer to it, because they're not as good. They're the discount version. So because I don't like to X-wrap or figure 8 wrap EP fibers, so I use a brush instead. But All right, tying on a 20-pound Mason hard mono weed guard, snipping that basically right past the hook point. Gonna wrap behind it a few times just to get it to stand up. Whip finish behind it, and that is a 2-material tailing redfish fly with a scud weight. The scud weight, again, something that I newly have started using, but I really like it just because it helps them to fall a little bit more neutral and ride a little bit more neutral. So, and cake it in super glue because I don't love tying flies, so I want them to last as long as I can. So then the nice thing you can do about this is you can make this look however you'd like. So you can bar the tail with like a brown Sharpie, but the look that I really like is kind of that blue crab look. So I'm going to take that orange Copic pin. This is color YR68. We sell these at the shop. I like to color like half the tail with the orange. And then I'm going to take the blue now, and I like to color like the tip of it. It's like half of what I colored with the orange. Blue kind of gives it that blue crab look, kind of gives it that, just that, I don't know, that hot spot, I guess, for the fish to see, for the fish to look at, and it looks like this. So just kind of gives it that spot. But again, this has a little bit of flash that's in the body. It has, you know, this craft fur overwing, so when it's sliding, kind of looks like a shrimp, could look like a crab claw, whatever else. So I just think it's a really effective and simple either tailing redfish pattern or redfish over the sand or those sorts of things. The other thing about this too is if you were to see a snook or if the fish are eating glass minnows or little bait, this profile swims and looks like a little minnow. So really cool fly. So now we're going to get into the next rendition of this fly, and that is going to be basically the same thing, except the overwing is not craft fur. It's going to be a rabbit strip. So this fly is called the Slickback Willie. Probably is a stolen variation from somebody else. Don't claim to have invented anything myself. Just have watched a lot of fly tying videos myself throughout the years and have just kind of adapted a lot of stuff that I've seen to what I use. So again, not claiming that I made anything, not claiming to be a fly inventor by any means or any stretch of the imagination, but gonna tie in that scud weight again. Marco, if you are still there, if you haven't introduced scud weights into your program, maybe we should chat. We can come up with we can brainstorm together about some scud weights. So you got to really wrap these on there though on the B10S, just because the B10S is such a smaller wire hook, but still plenty strong enough for our redfish here. So, and this fly, the reason I really like this, I really like super sticky hooks for like baitfish flies or flies you're continually stripping. I think that having, you know, maybe a thicker hook is okay because it helps it to ride straighter and stuff. But a weighted fly that's going to be on the bottom, I like to have as sticky of a hook as possible because, you know, just because I think that, you know, the bite isn't always, you know, when the fly's moving. So I'm going to tie in this chenille. Again, this is ice dub chenille in tan for those of you that maybe just joined. And I'm going to wrap that back. I'm going to go over the scud weight and back over. The scud weight also gives it, like the body, a really nice like tapered look to it. I'm going to capture it, wrap back on it a second, and then snip it close. So I'm going to clean up this tie-in point for our next material, our second of two. Yes, you do need some of these, Marco. So the second material is going to be, this is brown barred rabbit strips in ginger. So shout out to my brothers who are both gingers. So how do you tie? I don't tie clousers. So I don't tie clousers. Funny story, because the chances of, I'm just trying to figure out, the chances of him being on here are pretty slim, I think. So, but actually, there's no chance he's on here. There's a guy that came into the shop one time, and he was telling me about this fly that he invented or tied, okay? And basically, he described a bucktail pattern with bucktail tied in as a tail and bucktail tied in as an underwing, and it was an all-purpose minnow saltwater pattern, and he was explaining it to me, and he basically described he described a clouser to me, and I said, so is it kind of like a clouser? So I asked him if he had a picture of it, and he did not, and he had like a flip phone, so he said he did not have a picture. So I said, so is it is it similar? Not just saying like, oh, it's a clouser. I said, is it similar to a clouser? And I was met with the response of, I don't tie clousers. And I said, oh, okay. So, but you do tie clousers, because you just explained to me that the fly that you're tying is indeed a clouser. So just because you don't pull the hair over the eyes doesn't mean it's not a clouser. So anyways, that is thank you for that, Branson. That is Branson Morton, everybody. Branson, our store manager. I would also like to know how to tie clouser. Thank you to Water Outfitters. So Branson is our store manager. Branson just had a baby girl. Her name is Scout. So obviously she's a nice lady, as we say. She's awesome, super cute. Very happy for him. And Branson is also the co-host of a podcast presented by us here at Tailwater Outfitters called Fishing is a Simulation. I have plugged this before, but if you are into fishing, and not serious fishing, but like fishing stories about and reminiscing about the days when you were growing up and what you were doing and how you were fishing, and also like to get a little bit weird with some conspiracy theories and myths and legends and all those different things, then Fishing is a Simulation covers all of those things. So again, that is with Branson, who is our store manager, and my brother Andrew, who we all work here. We all work here together. So one big most of the time happy family. So and this is the bunny strip version. So this fly doesn't need a lot of different adjustments to it. There's not really much you could do, I don't think, to this fly at this point if you wanted to. I don't really love the deer hair and the rabbit together on this fly, but you could. I don't really think there's enough space, but this fly is extremely effective tailing redfish pattern, because the bunny strip and the scud weight again help this. The worst part is you don't want to fly. The reason I designed this fly with this weight on it is because I don't really want something to dive head first in the grass. That's just not what I'm looking for when I'm looking for a tailing redfish fly. I want something that's kind of going to sit on the grass or kind of just above the grass or whatever. And if the fly is staying neutral, it's a lot easier to pull it right on top of the grass or through the grass while still getting underneath the water. And this bunny strip helps just reinforce the fly falling neutral. And again, this is a really awesome pattern. It's something that is very non-invasive to the fish, and it's something that I think that can be tied in a ton of different colors, different sizes, different weights. It's extremely versatile. If you're going to Louisiana, well, then switch over and maybe tie this on a size 2/0 jig hook, and you can put lead eyes, like these double pupil, medium lead eyes on it, and you can instead of ice dub chenille, you can use foxy brush and a Magnum rabbit strip, and you have yourself a Louisiana fly. So just an extremely versatile pattern, extremely versatile method, I guess, of tying this fly that can be done in a bunch of different sizes and a bunch of different weights. And, you know, I think just a fly that should be a mainstay in everybody's box that is inshore fishing anywhere. Different colors, different sizes, and different weights, and can be really awesome. So, again, guys, like this live, subscribe to the channel so you know what we got coming up and for our future lives. And we will be back next Wednesday. If you guys have any requests for what we do next Wednesday, please drop it in a comment down below. And as always, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, great rest of your lunch break, and come see us if you are